So what gun do you recommend for survival was the topic of the previous video, and I explained why I would usually recommend the Glock. Well, in this case, the question would be, what do you recommend for survival in terms of self-defense, but I don't like guns. I'm not a gun person. I will barely do the minimum so as to know how to handle it somewhat safely, and that's kind of it. Maybe get my concealed carry license, but I'm not into guns. I just want to have something as a last resort tool for self-defense, and that is where revolvers come in. Guys, welcome to the channel, The Modern Survivalist. Yes, we've talked about this so many times already. The question still pops up because people are interested. People honestly wonder about these things. Yes, often it's because people just like talking about guns. I'm definitely one of those. But the question still arises, and every once in a while, and I've been doing this for a long time, keep that in mind as well, every once in a while I get questions from people that are not into guns. They're not tactical dudes. They don't like the idea. They just want, I'm a guy that is not into firearms, but I want to have something because I now understand. You convinced me, Fernando. I read your books and you convinced me that I need some tool to defend myself as a last resort. I'm not going to be going to take fancy gun training twice a year. No, I just want something that goes boom when I need it, and if that happens, I have something. This is like the fire extinguisher version of a firearm. I plan on never using it. I'm not gonna be looking at it all day long, but if I ever need it, I need it to work, and that's where the revolver comes in. Guys, this is my recommendation for a survival gun for someone that is not into firearms. I will just take a class with a qualified instructor that will teach me how to not shoot myself in the foot or in the head and avoid making some horrible accidents and aiming in the right direction. How is it that it works? And that's it. How I will maintain it, clean it after using it, but that's it. I'm not gonna become a gun guy because I'm not into that. Revolver. Yes, it is more complex in terms of the internal mechanism. Yes, it has less capacity in the barrel. You're looking at 6 rounds, maybe 7, depending on the revolver. But usually, it's going to be 6 rounds. So yes, limited capacity. No military force in the planet uses a revolver anymore. It's been that way for half a century. I mean, it is something that is very much considered old school. And in many ways it is. But sometimes old school is exactly what you need when you want to keep things simple. Again, it's not going to be more rugged. It's not going to be more reliable. It's not tougher just because it looks out of a cowboy movie. That's the kind of thing that people that don't know anything about guns usually think, simply because of ignorance. They don't know how complex things get on the inside, underneath that plate that you see there. It gets a lot more complex than you probably give it credit for, and there's an entire clockwork going on. But in terms of manual of arms, meaning the way in which you actually use it, there's really couldn't be anything more simple. You pick it up, pull the trigger, the gun fires. You run out of ammunition, you open, empty the cases and put more ammo in there, and it keeps on shooting. But for those critical first few rounds, statistically it's going to be 3-4 rounds fired in self-defense incidents. Well, that's where you're going to be good. You're going to be covered for that as someone that is not used to handling firearms. And you even see trained police officers struggling with their semi-automatic pistols, struggling to clear a malfunction or an interruption of some kind because they were, the slide got pressed against in the middle of the fight and they were shooting and the guy was on top of them or whatever happens. All of those things, or at least most of those things, are not likely to be an issue with a revolver, and that's the beauty of the system, of this kind of tool. So that's why I recommend it for people that are just going to want to keep it super simple. You still have the same advantages. It is compact, it is small, it is usually going to be more than enough for home defense. It's going to be usually more than enough to defend yourself when out and about if you need that. And again, if you are not a gun guy, you're probably not going to have a concealed carry license and carry a gun with you. If you're the kind of person that wants to carry a gun with you, then don't go with this. Go with a semi-automatic pistol like most people do when they're dedicated to that extent. And yes, you still have lots of people that do carry a revolver as their concealed carry weapon. Maybe that's what you need. That's what you're willing to go with, okay? It is the advantage that you have a more simple manual of arms. That's a big advantage. Power per round, that's a 357 Magnum revolver. It's actually a very nice 357 Magnum revolver. You don't need a $3,000 manual run MR73. You can do just fine with a Ruger, with a Smith, or with a revolver made by a quality manufacturer. I would like to encourage you to stick to quality manufacturers, because shitty guns are not what you want to have when your life is on the line. You want to have something that's quality. But those are some of the well-known brands. Ruger, Smith, these days you really have lots of options there. So the power of the 357 Magnum round is going to be greater than your standard 9mm. Is it going to be double? Is it going to be compensating? Kind of, a little bit to some extent. I would really much rather have more capacity in 9mm in my Glock. I would much rather have 17 rounds in my magazine than just 6 of 357, but that's me. I understand that someone else with a different kind of skill set, of training, of years invested in all of this, those requirements may be completely different. So I understand that. Not everyone is the same. Limited capacity in terms of firepower, yes, but quite a bit of power per round fired. 6 is usually going to be enough to deal with most cases. You still have the advantage of something that is compact, lightweight, small, even if you have to carry it when evacuating as a bug-out bag gun for someone that's not into firearms and you just want to have some self-defense tool. Yeah, that's going to be perfectly fine. It is a very valid alternative. Even in cases or in terms of hunting, this is a gun that would maybe I would give it a couple more notches on top of your Glock pistol. This is a super accurate gun, and it has a round that, if you pick wisely, it has quite a bit of a punch. Some 357 rounds are very capable of bringing down deer, even bear, depending on what you're going for. Not maybe the larger ones, but yeah, it is a very powerful round. Every single thing that walks or crawls the face of the earth has been brought down by 357 Magnum, especially in the promotion for this gun that you see here. Colt, when they were promoting as part of the marketing of their Python in 357 Magnum, they hunted everything, and I mean everything there is, right? This is something that it can do. Is it ideal? Of course not. But if someone is asking as, I want something super simple, and maybe I'm more of the outdoorsy, maybe I'm thinking of the possibility of using it for a longer shot and I want to have a tad more power than 9mm, yeah, that's definitely what you will have there. Guys, these are my recommendations for this specific type of scenario. See you on the next video. Take care.